All right, Harry. So whenever we're living a surrendered, godly life, right, there will always be problems that arise in the workforce. Can you give us the Joseph example?
Yeah, Joseph himself was sold into Egypt by his brothers, but this is the story of what happens then. Genesis 39, verse 1, it says, Potiphar, the Egyptian lord, buys Joseph as a slave. And in God, verse 2, it says, God blesses Joseph. Verse 3, Potiphar saw that the Lord was with him. So he saw Joseph was doing well and everything was going well. Verse 4, he makes him his manager. Verse 6 says, God blessed all Potiphar's belongings on account of Joseph. And Potiphar, he's pretty clever. He recognizes that. Then verse 7 it says, Mrs. Potiphar hits on Joseph. Verse 9, Joseph says, I cannot sin against God, and he refuses her advances. She lies and reverses the story and complains to her husband. Um, Potiphar throws Joseph in prison. That's kind of the end of the story.
Yeah,
Well,
it
what?
just went really south real quick, right? Everything was going well, and then all the
Yep.
downfall began. Yeah.
Yeah, because Joseph, why was Joseph doing well at work? Because God was blessing everything. Why did he lose his job? Because Potiphar's wife noticed that, and
Yeah,
she,
he wouldn't compromise his belief system, right? He knew
yeah,
adultery at that time would have been really bad and wrong, and he's stuck to being living a surrendered life for God,
that's
regardless of the
right. So
situation.
he
Yeah.
chose. He was blessed because of God. He was rejected because of God. So the same story applies to Christians at work again and again. And we are really naive and don't see it coming. And I have to admit that I wasn't maybe in my working days. I was more of a traditional Christian, I would say. But anyways, truthfully, marks of a Christian um, speaks well of the boss and co-workers. The joy of the Lord is with them because they have a pleasant attitude. Everything is good. Comes to work on time, works hard, honest, don't steal material or time. It's the only employee like that as a keeper. So they get promoted, make good money. Now comes the problem. The boss wants you to lie to a customer or supplier. That happens a lot that they do that and they want you to do it. Change the books, may change a few numbers for me. Um, they want you to attend functions that you wouldn't really want to go to, maybe to dress a certain way. The list goes on. The things that they want you to do because you're a prime employee.
It
You
starts
know,
off with like, okay, everything's going well, and then it's like, oh well, since you're honorable, now we need to corrupt that just a little bit, But as we can't do
well,
that.
but see, if you were that way in the first place, you never would have got the better job. But now with
Mm-hmm.
this better job comes this other stuff. It's a normal cycle. You get promoted for good behavior, you get fired for good behavior, and you are devastated. Uh, But that, but really, we have to recognize that this is the plan that's always worked. The right plan is to see it coming. Be aware of that before you even get started. Be glad for the good times and be ready for the rejection. And thank God for what He's done in your life and the privilege of walking with Him. Compromise, you lose both ways. Stand firm, God will bless you. And I'm not saying so much that you just have a natural blessing of having God in your life and on the work for it. I'm not going to say God's going to bless that, but God will certainly bless your life. And if you're firm and stay straight. Another little story from the Bible was Daniel's three friends. In the story of Daniel, all four, Daniel and his three friends, they were all Jewish slaves working in Nebuchadnezzar's palace. And all four got promoted when Daniel told Nebuchadnezzar his dream, and God gave him, of course, the answer to that dream. In Daniel 3, the king gets a new golden god, a huge image he built. All needed to bow and worship together. So Daniel's three friends happened to be on the list of those that had to do that. So Nebuchadnezzar personally explained it clearly to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego what the consequences were because they weren't obeying. They explained to the king really clearly that we serve a living God. So into the fire you go, he says. Chapter 3, verse 26. Nebuchadnezzar says, servants of the Most High God, because these guys were walking in the fire. Verse 29, Nebuchadnezzar makes a decree that God wins. And he's actually kind of happy about it too. Like he loses, God wins. But Nebuchadnezzar recognizes that the God of heaven was the God that could do that. That nobody could do that. But it wouldn't happen if they hadn't got promoted, and it wouldn't have happened if they had have been
Yeah,
compromising.
if they compromised and bowed down, right?
No, I know that if that was me, I'd be tying my shoes. I wouldn't bow to them. But no, like literally, it's beautiful how they were faithful. I don't think I could have done that. I know I couldn't have done that. It's
Mhm.
really beautiful. God knew who they were, and God gave them the opportunity to demonstrate that. And because of that, Nebuchadnezzar made a decree. He was the boss man of the whole world at that time, and he made a decree that everybody needed to recognize the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, because he's the only one that could have done something like that. And again, we have the opportunities in our workforce to be responsible. I know I've not done a very good job of that in my day, but I certainly encourage that, and to show firmness on truth, and say no, that's not where we need to go. But there's going to be a price to pay, but realize that God blesses those that are faithful.
Amen. Thanks a lot for this, Harry.
Thank you.